Young and the Restless spoilers next week. Audra sets up Kyle and disaster strikes at party. So we're going to talk about Audra, about Kyle, about Diane Jenkins, Susan Walters, stressing over Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland's return and what she has to say, and some huge trouble coming at Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott's birthday bash. Alright, so at the end of this week, we've got Diane and her son Kyle having a heart-to-heart, and Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, a big topic they're discussing along with Audra. Right now, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, and Diane are planning their honeymoon, you know, the one they never had when they got married. They're going to be leaving town and are going to stay away for several weeks unless something happens to mess that up. So we'll see how that goes. Young and the Restless spoilers. Diane worries. But Kyle getting into trouble while they're gone is a major source of stress for Diane. She's very worried about their son. Kyle, meanwhile, reassures her it's going to be fine. But what Diane sees is that he's getting all tangled up and obsessed with Audra again because of these cryptic threats she's been making about this cosmetics company startup, which I don't know why he even cares. Well, bad writing. But Kyle promised Mama Diane nothing with Audra Charles will cause a problem for Jabot while they're gone. But Diane also knows Claire doesn't want him getting close to Audra either. And it could mess up their relationship. So his mom is pressing, and Kyle admits to Diane that sometimes he feels like he's a lot like Victor Newman, Eric Braeden. Not a good thing, right? And he wonders if he can be the good guy that Claire wants and needs. And of course, Diane gets it. She actually says she has a lot in common with Claire since they both have sketchy pasts and they've tried to move past it. She said that she and Claire have actually talked about it. And then Kyle admits that he also has to fight his darker impulses. But the bottom line, at the core of it, he hates having to be nice to Victor because of Claire and he doesn't think this whole party thing and the grand gesture that she wants to make is going to make any dent. And I agree. Young and the Restless. Audra's new scheme against or with Kyle. So, at the end of this week's last episode, Kyle gets a text from Audra. And in case you didn't know, Victor did send her a little bit of the funding for her new company because Audra convinced Victor she's making progress towards breaking up Kyle and Claire, but she is not. So Audra asked Kyle to come meet her for a drink. She has an idea to run by him. Diane sees the text message and she's worried, but Kyle says, "Look, I already know Audra's trying to set a trap, but he's going to go meet her anyway because he wants to know what's going on. He thinks he can turn this around, flip the script, use this as an opportunity for him." Young and the Restless spoilers. Audra comes clean? So next week, Kyle goes and he meets with Audra who makes a proposal that she seems to think is going to be a win-win. Now, maybe she's selling Victor out, or maybe Audra's playing mind games with Kyle or she's trying to team up with Kyle to run some sort of, con on Victor. And it's possible Audra might plot to slip Kyle a drug in his drink or something like that. Or Audra may come clean and tell Kyle Victor wants her to break him and Claire Grace up. Maybe Audra sees she can't do what Victor wants and she's looking for some sort of workaround. I mean, maybe Audra thinks if she tells Kyle that he'll agree to do a fake split with Claire to try and out Victor and reveal what he's doing. Maybe she's going to offer to ally with him if the Abbotts fund her company or bring her company under the Jabot label, something. We'll see how it goes. Audra is always sketchy and right now Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, has got a very close eye on her and I don't think she's aware of that. And Audra better be careful or she's going to mess around and lose her man on Young and the Restless. Y&R spoilers. Tracy Abbott returns to Genoa City. So also next week, as Jack mentioned, Tracy is coming home from New York. He also mentioned Ashley Abbott, Eileen Davidson, coming, but we haven't seen that confirmed yet. We just know that Beth Maitland is confirmed back. So this is the first time Tracy has been back to Genoa City since her lying psycho fiancé Martin Laurent was exposed as Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, and Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford's kidnapper. And Diane is nervous about Tracy and Ashley's reactions to the makeover she gave to the Abbott house. So when Diane asks what she thinks, Tracy says the redo left her speechless. Now that could be stunned silence because she thinks Diane did an awful job or Tracy might be stunned into silence because of how great it looks. Very cryptic. Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, doesn't like it. He feels like Diane wiped away their father John Abbott, formerly Jerry Douglas' presence from the house. But I think Tracy might be okay with it. Now Ashley, on the other hand, might be the person Diane should worry about because she hates everything Jack's wife does. So, we'll wait and see what her reaction is. Young and the Restless. Michael Baldwin quits. Victor Newman fumes. And also, at the end of this week, Nikki has dinner with Lauren Fenmore, Tracy Bregman, over at the GCAC, and she's showing off the pretty locket that Victor got her as an early birthday gift. Then Lauren drops a bombshell and warns her that Michael Baldwin, Christian LeBlanc, is quitting and he went to tell Victor. And of course, Nikki's very worried because Michael the only person that reigns in Victor's worst impulses. As we all know, Nikki caves and lets Victor get away with everything. Nikki is his top enabler, but you know, Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, is right behind him. Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, S in there. Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, S more likely to push back. But the whole Newman family really needs to just stage some sort of attitude intervention and get Victor under control. But then again, that may not ever be possible. Young and the restless. Victor rages. So when Jack shows up and sees Nikki with Lauren, he agrees. Yeah, Michael's doing the right thing. Nikki heads off to check in with an irate Victor. We'll see if she can talk him out of his temper fit, but I doubt it. He's upset he has lost his sneaky lawyer and top co-conspirator Michael. And Victor's also angry because Audra's not done what she promised. Michael said the Abbotts rooted out all their spies and fired them from Jabot. So, that has the mustache fuming. Claire's still dating Kyle and now Michael has quit on him. So, Victor's ranting at Nikki and he tells her never say Michael's name again. I'm assuming Lauren and Michael are going to be at the party. So that's going to be a little shimmered under the soft glow of amber chandeliers. Its lobby bustling as Genoa City's elite filtered in for Audra Charles's exclusive networking soiree. But this was no ordinary party. At least, not in Audra's mind. Tonight was her chance to reset the narrative, to prove she could command power, influence, and, more importantly, control over Kyle Abbott. She'd been watching him slip further out of reach ever since Claire came into his orbit, and the prospect of losing her strategic advantage irritated her more than she cared to admit. Tonight, she murmured to herself as she checked her lip gloss in a mirrored column, Kyle remembers exactly who knows how to pull the strings. A trap wrapped in velvet. Kyle arrived earlier than expected, crisp in a tailored jacket, unaware that Audra had orchestrated every detail. The guest list, the lighting, even the musical tempo, to push him exactly where she wanted him. And toward exactly whom she wanted him to collide with. Kyle, Audra purred, swooping in with a champagne flute. You came. Wouldn't miss it, he replied politely. He'd been burned enough times to know Audra's friendly invites were usually layered with 3 hidden motives. But Summer had encouraged him to be more social, and Claire had meetings all evening, so here he was. Good, Audra said with an airy smile. There's someone I want you to meet. Kyle's eyes narrowed slightly. Audra, what are you up to? Relax. It's a party, not a deposition. But Kyle noticed the glimmer in her eyes, that calculating, glinting mischief that always spelled trouble. Still, against his better judgment, he followed her. The setup. Audra guided Kyle to a quiet corner where a brunette woman with a stunning emerald dress stood alone. Her name was Serafina Lawson, a corporate innovator as Audra called her, but the truth was far simpler. She was someone Audra knew Kyle would find dangerously charming. Serafina, this is Kyle Abbott, Audra announced. Kyle extended a hand. Nice to meet you. Serafina smiled warmly. Oh, I've heard plenty. Audra tells me you practically run the town. Audra winked. I'll leave you to talk. Kyle shot her a look. She was plotting something. He'd stake a Newman Ranch whiskey supply on it. But Serafina's conversational ease pulled him in, despite his skepticism. Meanwhile, Audra stood off to the side, watching with satisfaction. If she couldn't keep Kyle loyal in romance, she could at least keep him tangled in business alliances that benefited her. But her smirk slowly faded as she saw Claire walk in. Claire walks into the trap. Claire Grace hadn't planned to attend. She'd finished her work early, wanted to surprise Kyle, and had no idea she was walking directly into Audra's web. She spotted them instantly. Kyle laughing with Serafina, standing closer than Claire liked. She recognized the setup. Audra thrived on chaos, and she must have scented weakness. Claire squared her shoulders and approached, calm but icy. Kyle, she said sweetly. He turned, startled. Claire. I didn't know you were coming. Audra said. I'm sure she did, Claire replied, giving Serafina a polite nod before locking eyes with Audra across the room. Audra smirked. Let the games begin. The party turns. Music pulsed. Champagne flowed. But tension crackled in the air like static before a storm. Claire tried to brush it off, but the nagging suspicion that Audra was planting seeds wormed deeper. Meanwhile, Kyle awkwardly tried to balance the conversation between Serafina and Claire, wishing he'd stayed home with a frozen pizza. At the bar, Nate Hastings approached Audra with raised brows. "You're enjoying yourself."